Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday night. I got Mr. Sasquatch himself, NC Relic Hunter, Mr. Michael Coley in the house with me, and we are ready to get going and do some talk about metal detecting, metal detectors. Hang out, have a great time with you guys. I hope everyone has had a fantastic week. And
It's
if you
unusual. It feels strange because it's still daylight and we're doing a live stream.
Yeah, I know. It's still daylight. So Michael, um, we've had a lot going on this last week, and we got some great things that we're going to talk about tonight. And I know you guys are going to be thrilled and excited about some of the things we're going to be discussing, which I found out a lot and some more things this week. I put up a couple of videos that are more like demonstrations and tutorial type things that you guys can check out on the channel. I think you guys will like some of those things that I've put up. And we're going to talk about some of those things too as well. So we got a lot planned. And I'm glad Michael is able to be here with me tonight. He actually went out on a hunt today, had a fun time. He went out hunting with the history digger from all the way up in Wisconsin and said he had a blast. I talked to the history digger earlier, said he had a blast. So I might let Michael share some of the things that he found and so on. So, and talk about his day with the history digger, metal detecting. And we've got a great crowd in here. We're at 20, 39, 30, somewhere in there. So, again, I appreciate everyone taking their time and joining in with us tonight. We've got a great show planned. And thank you for taking the time to spend with us on your Friday night. We really appreciate that. And that means a lot. You guys are the backbone of our channel. And we can't thank you enough. Michael, anything you want to say before we get rolling with these introductions?
Yeah, we had a great hunt today. The house we went to was probably, I think it was a 1880s house. And some of the finds were from that period, Found a couple of Indian heads, I think one was 1891.
Right.
The early 1900s wheat. So we had a fun day. We didn't find, a lot of older finds, but we found some wheat pennies. We found a couple of Indian heads. Rob did find what we thought was to me, it looks like a colonial copper, but we couldn't make out any details on it, but he's going to clean it up.
Right.
I found a ring, first signal.
What? A ring?
Yeah, I found a ring, but it was gold plated, but it was an older ring. But we had a good time.
That's awesome, buddy. Well, I'm glad you were able to get out and enjoy your day. For the rest of us that had to work this week, Michael was out there having fun while we're out here working. So we'll sort of envy Michael and be jealous of Michael for his fun day out metal detecting. So let's do some shout outs as we always do. Michael, we've got a lot of great people, a lot of familiar faces, and maybe some new faces in here tonight. So let's give a few shout outs. So we got Mr. Old Pelon. Appreciate him so much. Great supporter of the channel. Always super excited to have him in here with us. Mr. Digging Daryl. Digging Daryl, also great supporter of the channel and coming in and filling in as our host from time to time. We really appreciate him being here tonight. Mr. Keegan's in here. Glad to have Keegan. Keegan says hi. Mr. Digging Daryl, which we mentioned. We got the Key Date Kid, Mr. Excalibur himself, Excalibur Shovels, and Michael might can elaborate a little more on Excalibur Shovels tonight. We're going to get into that. We got Mr. Gene Gilstrap. Glad to have Gene in here. Appreciate him being here with us tonight. Mr. Sniff It Out is with us, Michael, and always glad to have Sniff It Out in here with us. Mr. Brian Thomas is in here tonight. Glad to have Brian with us. Appreciate you being here tonight. Mr. LC Hunt, he says, hello, gang. Glad to have LC with us. Mr. Bobby Short, he says, I'm here. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about and some interesting conversation for tonight, too. I'm going to get your opinions on a lot of things. So we'll see what some of you guys say, some of the stuff that we're going to discuss. Mr. Workman's Adventure is here. He says, good evening, everyone. Glad to have Workman's Adventure. Mr. Ricky Bennett. He says, good evening, everyone, and happy live Friday night. Appreciate it, Ricky. Thank you for being here. We got Mr. Gary Hulls all the way from Oregon. So all the way out west, Michael. We're reaching out west to these guys as well. We got Mr. P.A. Relic Hunter. He says, hi, everyone. Glad to have you in here, P.A. Relic Hunters. Appreciate that. We've got Mandy's Candies in the house. Glad to have Mandy's Candies. Appreciate you being here tonight. Thanks for joining the live stream. We've got Mr. Digging Dude all the way up in New York. I don't think he's in New York City. I think he's upstate New York, but all the way from New York. Glad to have Mr. Digging Dude, also great supporter of our channel. Don't Tread on Me is here. He says, hell yeah, just got back from a good dig of post-winter 25 evening diggers. Yes, glad you were able to get out in that ground starting to thaw out for you, Mr. Don't Tread on Me. We appreciate that. We've got Mr. Detect Meister all the way from Ireland, reaching across the pond to our Irish friends, and always glad to have Detect Meister in here with us as well. We got Mr. Kerry Pope. He says, hey, everybody, glad to have Kerry in the house. Mr. Trevor Van Horn. He says, hi, everyone. Glad to have Trevor with us. Mr. Relics and Rings is in the house. Appreciate Relics and Rings being here. Mr. Andrew, super supporter of the channel, and we appreciate him, and a great friend of ours as well. Mr. Charles Turner is in the house. He says, thanks for the tips, Teach. I have both the Manicore and the Deus too, and it's always helpful to learn new tricks. Well, I'm glad I can help. That's the whole purpose of those videos, Charles, and thank you for watching, and we really appreciate that. Look who we have. We got Mr. Matt Johnson all the way from Texas. So glad to have Matt in the house with us. Mr. Martin Smith, and he says, hi, P.A. Relic Hunter. Glad to have Martin in the house with us. Appreciate him joining in. Mr. Phil Garner is in the house. Count me in. Glad I can make my second Friday night. Appreciate you being here, Phil. Thanks for making it back for a second time. Hopefully we don't disappoint. And let's see, T-Birds Digging is in the house with us. Thank you, T-Birds. I saw your comments. Appreciate those comments as well. Glad you're here and we're able to join us on a Friday night. Mr. Johnny Rum is in the house. He says, evening all. Mr. Stephen Dorothy, I guess that's how you say it. Dorothy, I think is how you say it. He says, good evening, gentlemen. If I butchered your name, Stephen, I'm sorry, but we are super excited to have you here with us tonight as well. I don't want to miss anybody, and I think I got everybody. Hit that like button again, like my man Johnny Rum says. We appreciate that. That helps with the algorithm, gets people being aware of our channel, getting more people involved. That's what it's all about. Sharing some knowledge, having a good time, hanging out on a Friday night. I couldn't think of anywhere else I'd rather be right now than hanging out with you guys and hanging out with my main man over here, Mr. Michael Coley. It's always a fun time, and we are always super excited to be here.
You see, Matt Johnson said he went hunting today. You see that, right?
Yeah.
He said
he says Chris is still out hunting. Yeah, we miss Chris too, Matt. So,
yeah, Chris told me he was going this evening.
Look, and Digging Daryl's already brought it up. He's excited to hear Michael's tip of the week, and he's going to have a great one tonight, Digging Daryl. He is dead on. He is locked in and loaded tonight for his tip of the week, as he's been experimenting and he went out hunting today. So I know he's found some amazing things, and he's also probably discovered a few things with his machine from today too. So we're gonna let Michael share his tip of the week. It probably won't be till towards the end. We'll give him a little bit of time so that tip of the week can sort of marinate for a little bit before.
Well, I can share it right now.
You want to share it right now?
I'll tell you right quick. You know, I hunted with the Manicore and the Deus too, and it was a trashy spot. And I like running the Deus too in that trashy area, because you can turn on those signals, even though they may sound good, you know, one way. But if you can turn on it with the Deus too, you can hear that they're the odd shape of them, and you can tell they're trash. They're not a round coin signal, and that helped me probably today more than anything hunting with the Deus 2. And I hunted mostly with the Deus 2. I did hunt some with the Manicore, but I found it easier to hunt with the Deus 2 today just by listening to that audio, picking through the trash with the Deus 2. So that's if you're hunting a trashy site, then to me, I like running that Deus 2. Just listen to the audio, and you can hear. It'll help you pick through the trash just by the shape of it. You can actually hear the shape of it by the way it distorts. So that's my tip. That's what I found out today hunting. That's my tip for today. Are you still there, Brian? Are you lurking in the background?
I'm still here. Thank you, Michael. And Michael's exactly right. Sometimes you'll get over a signal, and you got to investigate it thoroughly. You have to turn on it. You got to listen to the audio. Make sure that audio is repeatable.
Copper pipes,
and there can be all kinds of stuff. Right. There can be all kinds of stuff. So, Michael, that's a great tip. And you and I use that, what you just said, we use it all the time on a lot of our Relic sites as well. So thank you again for sharing your tip of the week. And we sort of put him on the spot. He originally had, and I'll go ahead and say it, he originally had something different, but he decided that he wanted to go in a different direction. And I sort of threw it at him, told him he needed to come up with something a little different or a little better. And that's what he came up with. So I appreciate Michael doing that. Thank you so much, Michael. And everybody says, awesome. Thank you, Michael. Definitely. We got 5 Mile Relic Hunter in here. He says, evening, gents. And Mr. Phil Garner says, thanks for the tip, Michael. And everybody looks forward to Michael's tips of the week. And he wants to be bashful about it. And I'm not going to let him be bashful. He's going to get to share that tip of the week. And we appreciate that. He says, Michael, I agree. I find myself taking the Deus 2 more than the Manicore because of the way the Deus 2 sounds. And that, ladies and gents, is going to be the focus of tonight's show. Is I put up a little poll this week asking y'all what machine y'all wanted me to talk the most about on the channel. And it was overwhelmingly the Deus 2. I believe the last I checked, it was at 56%. And I think a Manicore was somewhere around 39%. The Not the Triple Score and the Garrett Vortex VX9 were right around like 16%, I believe. So you guys wanted to hear about the Deus 2, and we're going to give the audience what they want.
What have you been playing around with on the Deus 2 as far as you
Michael, and I put up these 2 videos, and I actually learned a lot. And Michael knows this. I'll go out there and I'll play around with it. And I don't really show a lot of like test videos or comparison videos. But when I see something that I think can help all of us, then I like to be able to show it. So there are some people that have the Deus 2 that maybe don't understand the reactivity or don't understand audio response. So that's where we're going to go tonight. We're going to talk about reactivity and audio response on the Deus 2. And we'll talk about some other things, but I wanted to talk about those videos and some things that I think all of us could take away from those videos. And one of the main things that I learned is you can run the Deus 2 at 0. And I know I've heard a lot of you say, hey, I hunt in 0. I hunt in heavy iron at 0. Or 1 or 1.5. And I asked a question today on the YouTube channel. I posted a post on there, and I asked everybody what was the lowest reactivity they ran. And I had a couple people say 0. I had a lot of people say 1.5. I had a few people say 2. So, it just got me to thinking too this week about what that does when you run it at 0. And one of the things that I found out right out of the gate is that sound running at a reactivity of 0 is really sort of stretched out, Michael. So even when you swing hard, running it at 0, it has what I would call an elongated tone to it.
Right.
And it makes the target more obvious. And I really, and I knew this, but I really didn't expect it to do as well running it at 0 and swinging fast as what I saw when I started doing the test. And I was testing a 12-inch quarter, silver quarter buried, and it was just hitting that target, even running at 0. And then when you crank that reactivity up and you start stepping up, you slowly start to see that signal go from like this to like this, and then to like this, where it's just a blip. And then, of course, you got to have your ears on really good once you start cranking up that reactivity. It's
one thing I learned from watching those videos is I think you need to adjust your audio response to your reactivity. So it looks like if you're running, 3, 4 reactivity, you may want to run it at 5.
And Brian Thomas has got a great point here. He says he watched the tip videos you posted this week and found out that using the offset in the audio response allowed me to really hear the targets and understand what I was hearing. And I'm going to share something else with you in just a minute, because I deliberately made the reactivity video and the audio response video back to back. And I did that for a reason. And then I really discovered that what I was thinking was actually the right thing. And we're going to talk about audio response and how that can play a part. And what I really discovered on some things too, that maybe some of us don't know, and maybe some of you do know. But it was a little more eye-opening to me. And I'm going to share that with you in just a second. But the whole idea of the reactivity thing is just that I was really amazed that running it at 0 really stretched that tone out a lot more. And I was still able to hit even a deeper target running it at 0 and swinging harder. And like Brian was saying, now you can adjust that offset. That offset does change the way that sound or way that target will sound. Because remember, if you're setting it at an offset of 10 or an offset of 15, it will change the way that audio sounds slightly too. And my next video is going to be all about audio. We're going to talk about the different audio settings and so on. But that's going to be my next video is audio. And we're really going to focus on that. And, it can definitely help us out when you combine all these things together. And I know a lot of you are experienced users, and I know we're talking about some really technical things, but there's some things that we can take from those videos and be able to sort of manipulate and set our machines up to those sites. So, Michael, I know you watched that video, but what did you think about the reactivity? Is there something that you noticed from those videos that I didn't mention as far as reactivity?
Well, like you said, 1.5, 2, it really enhanced that audio.
Right.
It seems like I said, it seems like if you're running 3 or 4 reactivity, you may want to go up to 5 on your audio response to be able to hear it better. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, it does. And we're gonna get into that in just a minute, what you just said. Don't Tread on Me says, I just found running deep high, and we're going to talk about that. High square full tone, 0 reactivity, and then backing off on discrimination about 4 clicks work very well in 4 inches of snow. And I'm working right now on developing a deep program that I'm going to try to put out. If it works, I don't know that it's going to work, but I'm going to sort of clue you in as to what I'm going to do with that. And we'll see what happens. Digging Dude says, I own 2 Deus too, so I'm not bashing, but I'm still getting frustrated with EMI interference using single multi-frequency. Of course, I scan, noise cancel, but still end up using D mono. My friend with the Manicore has no EMI problems.
Me and Rob had to use mono today. There was an underground line. If you got near it, we couldn't get rid of it with the Deus too. But
we were fine. Here's what I'm going to tell Digging Dude. Number one is this high frequency coil is coming. Will we be able to, with this high frequency coil, are we going to be able to get rid of EMI better? Because I know that with the old high frequency coil, on the Deus One, you could go into those single frequencies, and if you got up above 60 or 80, whatever it was, then it would really. I just activated my scan, my thing to track my face. But anyway, it would really change. It'll really get rid of that EMI and really help with EMI. So the high frequency coil might be the answer on that part of it. The only other thing I can say is if you can't get rid of it running mono, that's tough. But I will say this, and Michael and I have had this conversation. I believe that we see a little more EMI interference with the Deus 2 because it's wireless. Right. I think that plays a big role into that versus a coded cable on the Manicore and some of these other machines with a wired system. I think that plays a big role into that EMI effect that you're seeing on the Deus 2. Don't you think so, Michael?
I think so. I mean, and we also talked about that battery being in the coil and being in the shaft too. I think that helps out. Like the original HF coils for the Deus One had the battery in the shaft. I think that helped with the EMI as well.
Right. Well, I know that I've seen that with the Deus 2 as well. And you get around a lot of heaters, or you get around a lot of air conditioners that are running, or you get over a phone line that's buried. It's really, really hard. The Manicore does do a better job with EMI. Digging Dude's exactly right.
It does.
So, yeah, it does do a better job with EMI. I mean, it's just obvious, and Michael and I have both of those machines, and we've seen it as well. So, I don't know. So, but anyway, that's my theory. I could be wrong. Michael could be wrong. I don't know. But I do believe the wireless part of it really causes a little bit more EMI interference based on what we've seen, because the Manicore really knocks out that EMI a little better. Don't Tread on Me says, okay, got to ask, what is the deal that post on Facebook claiming the HF coil is delayed due to FCC regulations? Well, all I can tell you is they've had an HF coil that ran at a higher frequency before. I don't think that that's the case.
I heard that 100 kilohertz was the limit. So right. As long as they're under that, I think they're fine.
Mm-hmm. I think so too, and I don't think that that's going to be the case there. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But again, EMI interference, I think, is really mainly due to the wireless capability of the Deus 2, and I think that contributes to it as well. All right, Michael, back to what we were discussing though with the reactivity. So I did an audio response video too, and I found that to be very interesting as well, as you can run that audio response. And here's what I noticed in the video when I was doing it was when you got above 3 is when you sort of started to hear it. 4 was really good, which is default. What most of the programs are set up with is an audio response of 4. 5 to me sounded great. And so you run 5 to hear those really faint signals. You can run it up to 6 to really hear the faint signals. That goes all the way up to 7. Now, I've never run my audio response at 7, but I think 5 and 6 might be the sweet spot as far as hearing faint signals. How many of you run your audio response above 4? Or just do a lot of you leave it on 4? That's the real question. And again, if you go back and watch my video, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I'm real curious as to see what our viewers are running their audio response at. Brian Thomas says, I do. So Brian, you're saying you run it above 4 or you run it at 4? Gene Gilstrap says I run at 5. Right. And 5 seems to be, I think, the better choice. And that's what I noticed when I was doing that test and that demonstration was 5 seemed to be really, really good. And it was really loud on that 12-inch quarter. So yes, and it looks like a lot of people are running it at 5, Michael. And Michael and I have been leaving it on 4. I've never really adjusted it up to 5 or 6 because I always thought it might be too loud. But if you get into a site that's not a lot of trash, then I think that you can run that audio response up more, and I think you can crank that sensitivity up more to help with those deep signals. Don't you think so, Michael?
I think so, and I think whatever audio you use, it like square, high square, or PWM kind of determines that too. Seems like to me. You know,
Right.
you ever notice if you switch, sometimes you have to adjust your volume on your headphones.
And Don't Tread on Me brings up what I was getting ready to say, and he's sort of jumping the gun on me. I think high square and square would probably work better in that situation, more so than PWM. And you could really hear those really deep squeakers. The other thing that I would strongly suggest, if none of you have these things, is to get you a pair of WSA2XL. Those headphones, which I've got a pair here, and them being noise canceling, okay, are going to help you in those situations, especially on a windy day. And if you really want to, get rid of that noise, and you put these on your head, you're not going to hear. I mean, you're going to be blocking out all that ambient noise, the wind noise, all those other things, and you're going to be able to hear those squeakers that we could possibly miss if we were running our regular WSA2s, or if we were using the WSA headphones. So again, get you a pair of these. If you really want to go deep, you really need a set of headphones, a good set of headphones. And naturally, the WSA2 XLs, which are specially designed for the Deus 2, are a great combination when you want to go dig deep targets. The other thing I'm going to suggest, and I've got a video coming with this, is to adjust the equalizer setting. So you'll hear it through these headphones. And Michael and I had a good laugh about that the other day. I was going like, I'm adjusting my equalizer, and I'm not seeing a big difference, but they only work with the headphones. So just remember, use that equalizer and adjust it for your WSA2 XLs, and you can set those tones up to the way that you like to hear them. If you like that real high pitch on those high conductive targets, you can set it up that way. It's sort of like our old stereos where we had the equalizer on them. You can set it up however you want and make those signals sound however you want. Right, Michael?
Right.
Yes. And these headphones, even though I have the Puck headphones and I love those, especially when it gets really, really hot, these aren't a lot of fun. But when there's a lot of wind around and you're hunting for deep targets, you need to have some noise canceling headphones. You need to have those over the ear headphones. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. And I don't know if any of you paid attention to the video I put up last week too. It was a short, but I was hunting in a field that Michael's hunted with me. Everybody that's come with me or gone to this spot has hunted that field. And I dug the biggest dandy button that I've ever dug out there. And how in the world did we miss it? And I started thinking, I was using these headphones. And I think we walked over it because it was just a small, quick, bip, or a squeak, that because we were running our reactivities up a little bit higher because there is some iron out in that field. And I think that's why we missed it. And I was able to hear it with these, whereas I probably wouldn't have heard it if I would have just had the WSA2s because they don't noise cancel as good. Right, Michael?
That's right. And I mean, what I like about those headphones, they're lightweight and they're not as heavy as some of the over-the-ear headphones that I've used, or as tight. They're tight enough, but not pinching the side of your head. you know,
Right.
they're comfortable.
Now, here's the other thing. If you've got iron out all out in the field, or you're hunting a trashy site, you are not going to want to run that audio response up, because it's gonna blow your dang ears off. You don't want to do that, because you're liable to miss a target. But if you're hunting in a open field with very little iron, not a lot of mineralization in the soil, mild to neutral soil, then run that audio response up. Run the sensitivity up to 95. Go ahead and crank it as much as you can, that you can get away with within reason, where it's not, bothering you. And then go hunt that field. The other suggestion I'm going to have for you guys tonight, and somebody's already brought this up, and I think it was Don't Tread on Me, is use deep high conductor. One thing that I have found out, that running deep high conductor and running that reactivity, most of you are saying 1.5. I know Don't Tread on Me was saying 0, which I believe you can get away with 0 with no problem, as long as you're not dealing with a ton of trash, period. Run it at the lowest reactivity. You'll get more depth. That signal is going to come in a lot clearer running that program versus even my program, which is the sweeper program. And I know that for a fact. So try deep high conductor, and then go with the lower reactivity, what you feel is comfortable for your site, and the amount of trash on your site. And then crank that audio response up to 5 or 6. And I'm telling you, I think you're going to find there's some good targets hiding out in some of those areas that you might not have heard running any other program. And use these headphones and adjust that equalizer. That's my suggestion. Michael, that's my tip of the week. Yeah. And I think that if you do that, I think you guys are going to be amazed at what you could possibly find running that program like that and setting the machine up that way. I think that's going to give you a great chance of hitting a really, really deep target. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, and Don't Tread on Me said he never uses 0 as a primary, but I do always try it. So he tried,
Right. And guys, all you got to go do is watch that video that I used. Yeah. You're not missing much with running it at 0. In fact, you're probably, like Don't Tread on Me is trying to say, you're probably enhancing your chances, because what it's going to do is it's going to stretch that signal out. So the tone is going to be a lot longer than if you were running a faster reactivity, because when you run that faster reactivity, you don't have that tone's not sort of drug out. It's sort of shrunk, really, to where it's more like a little blip, more so than a high drawled out sound. And the other suggestion is one that Don't Tread on Me said earlier, was run high square or run square. I think running it and trying to do it deep, you want to go with those two types of audio. I think you're going to find that to be very, very helpful. And that's what I've discovered too, just sort of playing around. And I'm going to try some of these things out too, but I really feel confident about this because of what I saw over these last couple of videos. And I was blown away. I've never run 0 reactivity. I have run 1.5 on the beach, and I know it's really deep running 1.5. So it was sort of eye opening in some ways too, Michael. What you think, Michael?
Another thing, the option with the D2 and heavy iron is awesome too. Set it 80 to 86 and get some nice coins.
Yeah, so what he's doing is he's lowering the sensitivity down, and that might not be a bad idea either. But with the amount of nails that we deal with, I don't know. I mean, that might help because it's not going off on all those nails.
Well, it does with the manacle. We know that if you cut that sensitivity down in the iron, it really does help a lot. So it may do the same with the Deus too.
Right. Yeah, you slow your swing speed down, right? So I get a kick out of this. So I got a lot of guys that have they love to go on Facebook. They're little trolls, and they like to think that they know more, and they're always looking like, hey, slow your swing down. And what they don't realize is that, and most of you guys know this because y'all know me, but when I film those beginning clips, it's not for me to basically be out there metal today. It's just for context of the place that I'm at. And some of them want to attack me because they think that that's how I swing. And of course, it's not. And so anyway, so I always think that's funny. But again, Joe Dirt is exactly right. When you get into thick iron, you're not going to go with a crazy swing. You're going to shorten that swing up, and you're going to go a lot slower. And running that reactivity at 0 or 1 or 1.5 definitely could enhance your chances of being able to hear that signal. And like I said, that signal is going to be drawn out a little bit more, which I think could help definitely for sure. The Tech Meister says, Brian, explain what reactivity is, as I think a lot of users don't know what reactivity is. And that's why I made that video too, was for the new users, maybe today to the Deus 2. But reactivity is how fast the machine can recover between targets. When you crank it up, it's going to naturally recover faster. But the amazing thing about the Deus 2 is that even at a reactivity of 0, that machine can still recover fast enough between those targets. And that's what's great. And you also increase your depth running a reactivity of a lower number, a 0 or 1 or 1.5 or even a 2.
That high reactivity is clipping your signal too. It's shortening it.
It's shortening that signal, and it's not quite as deep. And you can tell on that video, if you go and watch those last 2 videos, you will see how it is responding to that. And that's why I made those videos, because I wanted people to sort of understand how reactivity can really impact what the machine is doing. And then also too, how audio response can impact what the machine is doing. And you need to sort of have a combination of both, especially if you're going to hunt deep targets. And that's what I wanted the bulk of what we're talking about tonight. That's why I wanted to stress that, is to show what those videos were actually doing. So New England Land and Sea says, never found any coins in that zone 80 to 87 here in Massachusetts. That's pretty interesting. And I guess the majority of the things up there, other than the copper coins, but I would think that the copper coins would come in right around 89, 90, 91, usually is what I see for those copper coins. But, I don't know. It seems like most of those would come in. Don't Tread on Me says, I notched to 86 in heavy square nail beds, bites them down pretty good. But here's the problem with that. Michael, what's the problem with notching?
It drags. We've seen it drag the signals down. In 86, I think 85 and 86 is where it puts a lot of those signals, that are, mixed with iron. It'll put them in that range, 86, 85, 86, 87.
Well, if he's notching up to 86, he's also missing buttons. You could miss coins that are lower. I mean, if you're just looking for silver, then Don't Tread on Me is exactly right. I mean, yeah, you could notch to 86 and hunt silver all day long, but buttons and those types of things, barber nickels, gold, all those types of things do ring in below 86 on the Deus 2. So if you're just hunting silver, that's a great way to go. And I've done that. But again, you could run the risk of missing something else. If you're just hunting that silver, though, that's an awesome way to go for sure. New England, instead of notching that, just change your slot for for number 4 and lower the volume down. Right. And I've actually got another video that's coming where we talk about tone breaks. And Gary Blackwell did a great job of this for those of you that know who Gary Blackwell is. And he did a tone break video the other day. But you can adjust the volumes of those different tone segments and make them as loud as you want them to be, or make them as soft as you want them to be. And we're going to get into that too, and being able to adjust those tone breaks. Surfside Dan says, I'm late. Glad you're here, Dan. Appreciate you being in here. New England Land and Sea says 90.95 copper coins here. And some could ring in a little bit lower. I don't know. I mean, I've dug a bunch of King George coppers with my Deus too. And I want to say the majority of those were 88, 89. We might have got to 90, but it was in that range.
Yeah.
But anyway, our soul's a lot different, and that could be a case, and it could be a case of whatever program you're running. The Tech Meister says if audio response is set, high deep fines will sound shallow. Right. So yes, that's exactly right, the Tech Meister. If you turn that audio response above that default of 4, you're gonna hear it a little bit louder than what you would hear it at 4. That's real simple. And those deep targets are going to come in a lot more clear. Go watch that audio response video that I just did, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And that was with a silver quarter buried at 12 inches. But I have very neutral and mild soil, so I can hit pretty deep stuff running it that way. But check your soil out. That's the main thing, and then you adjust it however you feel you need to accordingly. Finder's Keeper says, wait, I thought Deus users only go off tone, not ID. Yeah. Well, some of us will take a peek at those numbers, won't we, Michael?
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. Yeah, we're listening to the tone, but everybody looks down at that ID.
We do. I mean, it's who people are. They're gonna look at the ID. But again, audio is king on the Deus too. We just got through talking a little bit about that when Michael was doing his tip of the week. But when you hear a repeatable signal, and that thing is clear and it doesn't change throughout, then you know that it's going to be a good target.
Right.
Exactly. 9 times out of 10, if you got your machine set up right, which is what we're talking about right now. But if you got your machine set up right, you got a repeatable signal. You can turn on it. You can do a 360 if you wanted, and you can still hear that sort of coming through. Then it's a digger all day long for sure. Right. Don't tread on me. Said just another settings. The more settings you use. Right. Exactly. So KG's rings in lower here in Massachusetts. Right. And it rings in lower here too. And it could be because of the soil. I don't know, LC. I've never hunted in Massachusetts, so I'm not real sure. Oh, hey, LC says especially if they are counterfeits. Maybe we have some counterfeits, Michael.
Yeah, never know.
I don't know. I mean, I know I will say some of mine came in at 90-91, but it could have been the condition of them because they were so worn in a lot of cases for some of these too. I don't know. But of course I've dug 2 Virginia Colonial half pennies, and both of those rang into the 90 and 91, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and look at my video. But I hadn't dug one of those in a while, Michael. I need to dig another one, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Johnny Rum says, you run your threshold. I like the hum in the background. Threshold is a great way, especially when you're in iron. It can help. I don't run my threshold, but I have run it out on the beach for some cases, as it helps me identify iron a little bit better. So threshold can be used as an advantage, especially out on the beach if you're dealing with pieces of iron. And that's when I usually run threshold. I normally don't run it when I'm relic hunting. Yeah. Finder's Keeper says, heck yeah, any info I can get, I'll use. Same here. You guys teach me stuff too. So I pay attention to what you guys are saying, and I try to utilize some of those things as well, and see if I can see the same thing. Don't tread on me says, just a note, I have no go-to setting. I always push buttons trying to, right. And that's a good way to be, because you guys know one of the main things that I've always preached is try different settings, try different programs, try different machines, try different coil sizes. You can hunt an area one way and then go back with different settings and different things, and you'll find something that you missed. I mean, that's just the way it is. Right, Michael?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Brian Thomas said he found his best target ever after watching the video and audio response. What did you have your audio response set to, Brian? 5, 6?
Right. Thank you, Brian. Again, that's why I make those videos. I make it for you guys to try to help everyone, and I really appreciate that. That's sort of like, of course, I'm a school teacher, so the biggest compliment is when somebody comes
He
back
said
and they
a
say, hey,
7, Brian.
yeah. Oh, wow. Right. So the biggest compliment I can get is when somebody comes back to me and they say, hey, look, I really appreciate what you did and what you've done for me, or told me or taught me. And then they come back and say, I'm using some of those things. And that's the biggest compliment a teacher can get. So thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate that. Using XY and iron. I don't know about that XY screen. It's okay. Don't get me wrong, but I think it needs to be refined. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you about that.
It's really tough in iron. You really got to have open ground.
You need to have a clean area running that XY. I agree with you, Mike, on that. Finders Keeper says, I've dug a cat bus dimes that beep like an Indian head penny. Yeah. And again, my main thing to all of you, if it's repeatable, dig it. That's it. If it's repeatable, dig it. If it stays constant, if you can turn on it a little bit too, dig it. And I know there are some situations where even when you turn, you might lose it. But if you can turn on it and it stays the same and stays constant and it's repeatable audio, dig that signal. You're walking away from something for sure. Okay. Detect Monster says, what does the offset setting do? So I'm gonna let Michael do that, because Michael is the master of offset. Tell him, Michael, about offset.
I think it on your VI scale, it adjusts the range where that high tone comes in. So if you're in the iron and that high tone is drugged down, that offset will adjust it on the scale up to raise that audio up on it. Because a lot of these signals are pulled down in the iron.
Right.
That's what we found, especially, hunting and full tones especially. So it adjusts where that high tone comes in. That's what it seems like it's doing to me.
Right. And also, and we found out too that running that offset again, like somebody was mentioning earlier, can change the audio slightly too.
Mm-hmm.
Michael and I found out that running an offset of 15 helped it mineralize dirt. And
I run 15 all the time.
You run 15 all, and
yeah.
I still run 10, but right. 15, I mean, really helped in that mineralized dirt and helped Michael, deal with that running it at that. But if he ran it at 10, it didn't work, did it, Michael?
Right, because it was dragging that signal down, more than it would normally.
Right. So yeah, that's the best way we can explain it. But again, I would say play around with it on your sites and see what you noticed, or go take it after you have a little test garden, then run 10 and 15 and see if you can see a difference running it up that high. I don't know of anybody that uses anything higher than that. Do you, Michael?
I don't.
No,
that's as high as I've used. Is
right. Yeah, and that's as high as I've used it, because I've got Michael's program that he did when he ran in that mineralized dirt. I've got it saved on my machine as well, and
yeah, I got it saved too.
It works really, really good. It works really, really good in a lot of different situations as well. So really good. Don't Tread on Me says, I've dug a few colonial counterfeits. Dug a 1838 Counterfeit U.S. largely rang in around 70, very light. Think it may be pewter. I've never dug. I don't think I've dug any counterfeits. Now, I could be wrong about some of these King Georges, but I dug, God, how many King? I probably dug 15, 16 King Georges off of this one site. So some of
Yeah.
them maybe could have been counterfeit, but I don't think so. Not the way they looked. Um, I think it was just the wear on them and the type of soil that I'm digging in. But they were all in that maybe 88, 89, 90, 91 range. They were all in that range for the most part. And Brian Thomas said, yeah, that he ran his audio. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind. Brian Thomas said he ran his audio response at 7, which is the max. But he said he got the best target that he's dug, or the best find that he's dug, and that's just awesome. Brian Thomas says, I'm hunting at the beach and it helps me to hear these targets. Very good. Yeah, I don't blame you. At the beach, as long as you don't have a lot of EMI and you're not dealing with mineralized, so you could run it up that high for sure, and you're going to hear those targets, and that's what it's all about. Phil Garner says he's listening and learning. Thank you, Phil. We appreciate that. T-Bird says, anybody going to Gone Diggins a short thing hunt at the Eastern Shore? I saw that was up, but I haven't heard much more about it. Brian Thomas says, last week hunting Myrtle Beach State Park and found a British military button that the park manager seemed to think it was from the early 1800s.
Wow.
Brian, you need to send us a picture of that and let us share that on the live stream. I'd love to see that. Love to see that. Key Day Kid says, I dug a lead V nickel, hit 20 on my Equinox 800. Wow. 20. But that's not too far off if it was a nickel, because nickel, what's the nickel signal on the Equinox? Michael, do you remember?
I can't. Well, it seems like that's higher, isn't it?
And it ring, yeah. Didn't it ring in like 16? Am I wrong about
thinking
that?
15 or 16.
Yeah, I think it rang in at 16 on the 800, but I could be wrong because I hadn't swung an 800 in a while.
Well, lead would.
All right. Brian Thomas says, I will know more when they get their research done. Okay, let us know. Keep us posted on that. Surfside Dan says, Brian, did you find that button on the beach? That's a good question. Gene Gilstrap says 14, 15 on the nickels on the Equinox 800.
I was thinking 15.
Ferris Grump says 15. I was thinking 15 too, but I could be wrong. CZ Dicker, everybody's got different VDI numbers, Michael. 12 to 13. 13. It seems like I remember 13 more on nickels. So, yes, at least in mild dirt. Detect Meister says, is it only my Deus 2 or is it every Deus 2 that the clock never keeps the right time? It's every Deus 2.
Yeah, mine's off too. Yeah.
We don't even look at the clock. I don't even know why they put that on there if it's not going to work correctly. Maybe they'll come up with a fix for that, Michael. What do you think?
Maybe.
All right. Brian Thomas says, yes, on the beach about 300 yards north of the pier. Wow. That's crazy, Brian. Well, that's awesome. That's an awesome find. Be curious to find out how it got there for sure. CZ Digger says, I gave up on the clock. I think
maybe they replaced that clock with how many hours you've run your machine. Mm-hmm. I would rather have that. You know how many hours you've used it.
Sort of like an odometer on your metal detector. Right. Yeah, Surfside Dance is very interesting. So, but yeah, I learned a lot when I did these last couple of demonstrations, and I sort of knew some of these things from what I've seen out in the field. And this is why you sometimes do these types of tests. I don't like doing comparison tests, but I do like doing these types of tests where it sort of lets my ears sort of figure some things out and then try to apply some of those things. So this was definitely one that I thought was beneficial, not only to the new Deus 2 user, but to also some of us that maybe just forgot about some of these things. And so I did it on audio response and I did it on reactivity. The next video, like I said, is going to be on audio, and we're going to focus on audio because we know audio is king on the XP Deus 2. So we're going to focus on that on our next couple of videos. So stay tuned for those videos. They're coming, and hopefully they'll help a lot of you out with audio and fine tuning your machine to however you want to set it up for your sites. But we can't go a live stream, Michael, without mentioning the Deus 2 HF coil.
Right.
What do we think?
I'm thinking it's going to be later April. I really do.
Come on, Michael. Later April? These guys can't wait till later April. They're going to lose their mind waiting till later April. Yeah. I like Gene Gilstrap. I like Gene Gilstrap's comment. Need a beer 30 notification on the Deus in place of the clock, right? And a little beer signal come up on there. I have to talk to Philippe next time I talk with him. Hey, can you put a drink signal on there to let us know it's time for a drink? That we need to stop detecting and go for a drink. That would be really cool. I was really, and you guys know, I was really, and they don't tell me anything as far as when this thing's coming. I'm sort of guessing. So I'm still hopeful for end of April, middle of April, maybe, but I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much, as they're sort of past what I was really, really thinking. But
yeah,
again, I don't know. And like I told you guys earlier, when Philippe comes on here, then the end is near. That's all I can tell you at this point. And like I said, I feel like that I'm probably going to have one of these coils before they start shipping. So as soon as I get my hands on one, then I'll start doing what I need to do to get you guys some information about it, show you what it's doing, and that kind of stuff. So hopefully that's going to happen sometime really, really soon. And again, I'm waiting just like everyone else, and just got to be patient. Some things like Michael and I keep saying, some things we're excited about is, is there going to be a new update with this coil? Will that update improve some of the other things that we might be having some issues with? Is there going to be, is it, how high of a frequency is it going to go up to? What range is it going to be? Are all the programs going to have to be adjusted for this new coil? I don't know any of that information. So that's going to be interesting when it is finally released and we sort of got an idea about what's coming. But again, as soon as I know something, I promise you, and when XP gives me the word, then I will go ahead and share that with you. So we're hoping that that's going to be really, really soon, and we'll see what happens. T-Bird's Design says, I never had the HF coil for the Deus One. Could you do a little explanation about why it was better when it was better to use it? So I brought up one thing that really was really good. And I actually have that coil, T-Bird's Design, or Digging, excuse me. I actually have the original HF coil right here in front of me. And the good thing about this coil was when you could go up to those higher frequencies, first thing is you could get rid of EMI. You could hunt under power lines with this thing and would not have any EMI when you could run it up. The other thing is it's really good on smaller targets, especially gold. So for those guys that are hunting the beach, for those guys that are out west that might be hunting gold prospecting, this coil is going to be highly sensitive to those small pieces of gold. How small, I don't know, but it's going to be small. I can promise you that. And that's going to really help. Running a higher frequency should help us relic hunters in maybe unmasking a little better, because I've been told by XP that running that 40 kilohertz, that max frequency of 40 kilohertz, helps in the unmasking process. So if we go up a higher frequency, that should mean that we could unmask in iron a lot better, and maybe even in some trashy parts. The coil is going to be an elliptical coil, just like what I have here. And it should help you in really trashy areas to pick some of those targets out of the trash and out of the iron. And that's the whole premise behind it. Again, we're going to have to wait and see because we've never had a high frequency coil for a multi-frequency machine. Because remember, the highest frequencies we have, really XP has the highest, which is 45 kilohertz. All the other machines are all the way down to 40. So this will be the highest frequency coil that has ever been made for a multi-frequency machine, which that should tell you something right there. XP is way ahead of the curve versus some of these other companies in that they're being able to offer this. And there's been a lot of research and development into this coil. And I'm assuming that's why it's taken a little bit longer than maybe some of us want, but you want it to be right. So be patient with XP, and we'll see what happens. What do you, Michael? You got anything on that?
Well, it's really made for getting around objects close. That's why it's so good at gold, the higher frequency. Picking up little small gold nuggets, hunting in little washouts and creeks, or hunting in tight areas. Hunting in between stubble or stalks. I always like to use mine when I had it with the Deus one. But yeah, it's a great coil. It's got a tight detection zone on
right.
That.
Well, the sweet spot, I'll knock this thing over. The sweet spot on this rascal is pretty tight.
Yeah.
You can see, on this one, that's not a very big footprint. You got to get exactly over it. Y'all can see how big this coil is compared to my hand, which my hand's not very large either, but you can see how small that coil is, and the sweet spot on this is pretty minute. So again, it'll be interesting because again, nobody's ever come up with a multi-frequency coil that can go up above 40 kilohertz, and XP's taking that challenge on. So they're ahead of that, and that's why they're innovative. That's why they're always one step ahead of the competition, is because of their research, their engineering, and so on. So again, I think somebody was saying that CZ Digger was saying, he said, like my wife, don't be in a rush with XP, but you will get a good product. That's exactly right, So that's the way it is. Gene Gilstrap says my hobby money is being redirected towards a wedding. I get that too. I've been through that process. Joe Dirt says HF coil. I'm glad they're getting it right rather than rushing it. Right. And really honestly, we just went through this whole process. A lot of people were pissed and aggravated about the Garrett Vortex VX9, and they released it, and then people were complaining and griping about it, and it wasn't ready. Was it not ready? Was it, should they have released it? Should they not have released it? We went through that whole thing just recently, and XP is not going to go through that. I promise you, they're going to make sure it's right, and you want them to make sure it's right. Because they're going to give you a great product. It's a proven fact for sure. Kerry Pope says the Deus 2 HF will be 400 plus. Spent too much last year on gear. I will buy a new battery for my Deus 1 and be happy with that for my HF needs. Right. And look, I found tons of stuff with that regular Deus 1 with the HF round coil and with the elliptical coil. So you're not going to be missing much. And with the single frequency, still awesome that you can go up to those higher frequencies, and just does an excellent job. And XP's done a fine job with the original HF coil as well. New England says HF end of April, boat goes in first week of April. Someone tell my wife I won't be home Saturday for fishing, Sunday swinging the HF coil. I hope we're right, New England. I really do. And I hope it will be here sooner than maybe what I'm thinking. But we'll see. I don't want to make any promises to you guys because I really don't know. This is just sheer speculation. But hopefully, XP proves me right as well. So Johnny Rum says wife has XP Oryx with HF coil. It's amazingly light and fast machine. Sure, yeah, the ORX was an awesome machine as well. LC Hunt says the next improvement after the HF coil should be a simultaneous multi-reactivity machine. How awesome would that be? Sure, yeah, would be really cool if we could do that or something similar to that. I want to be able to adjust the lower limits, sort of like what MindLab did. You know how we have a max frequency for that higher limit? I'd love to have a lower limit too, where we could set it and be able to go out and metal detect. But I don't know if that's possible. I really don't. So we'll see. Ferris Grump says, I've hunted my home and the 3-acre field next door the past 3 times. I've only found trash. HF coil will be welcome. Right. You never know, because I really feel like once this coil's out there, I think it's going to help us uncover some things that we missed. And we're going to be shocked, maybe in some cases. We'll see. Don't Tread on Me says the Deus 1 HF coil is deadly in chimney stacks. Right. We just said that for sure. Greg Wick says, I can't wait to get that coil in trashy areas. We can't wait either, Greg. So thank you so much. Brian is responding back to Dan. CZ Digger says, thinking the low frequency of the new coil will be 35 to 40 and then up to 80. It's going to be interesting. I don't know.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we don't know how broad that spectrum is going to be and what programs are going to look like when you run that HF coil. Are they going to have programs specifically for that coil because it is so different? I just don't know. I mean, they have not given me any indication of any of that. CZ Digger says XP Deus 1 is still a very modern machine. And just remember, that machine was introduced in 2010. We're 15 years later and people are still using that machine. I don't know of many people that could say that with some of the other machines that have come well before that machine, if they're still using it. So, or during the time that this machine was released, those machines have gone by the wayside. Remember, one thing that you need to understand about XP, and I think I've said this, is that everything is made in-house and everything is made with the idea that they're going to be forward thinking, that it's made for the future. It's future proof is the word that they like to use. And I agree with them 100%. They've tried to put together machines that can be used above and beyond a certain lifespan. Even though it's 10 years, 15 years, whatever it may be, I can still see people using the XP Deus 2, 15, 20 years on down the road. And again, everything is made in-house. The quality of the production is very, very important to XP versus some of the other machines, which are getting parts from places in Asia and all over the world. And XP is basically making everything in-house, which really enhances their quality control as well. So hopefully that helps with those things. Don't Tread on Me says Deus 1 is still the only HF coil on the market. Right. Yeah, it is. And so what is this going to look like? I don't know. What do you think, Michael? I'm running my mouth. I can't hear you, Michael. You've muted yourself.
I'm good. All right, like CZ Digger said, they could have a set of programs that goes 4 to 45 and maybe 45 to 80. I don't know, or is it going to run the whole gambit, 4 to 80? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. But we're gonna hope for the best. And whenever that coil comes, I don't think we're going to be disappointed. I really believe that they've done their homework. Their engineers that designed this coil and that are working on this coil are really going to help us bring or give us something that is going to be revolutionary as well, sort of like the Deus 2 is to us right now. there's no other machine on the market that has that broad of a frequency spectrum than the Deus 2. Not a MindLab machine, not a Nocta machine, not any of those other machines. There's no other machine on the market that right now, Nocta, MindLab, that's going to go 66 feet deep. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
So there's no other machine that offers a max frequency setting. There's none on the market with that. There's no other machine that offers you an offset setting, which we just got through talking about. So there are so many things that make this machine so customizable. And XP again is thinking well and above and beyond. And I promise you right now, there's an engineer at XP that is working or that has already developed the plans for an XP Deus 3 and an XP Deus 4. And I feel confident in that they're already in plans and got that stuff already rolling to get ready for that next machine. And who knows what that will be. But I can promise you this, when it comes, it's going to be something that is going to be different and revolutionary, just like they've always done with all the other machines that or with the XP Deus 1 and the XP Deus 2. It's going to be something that's going to revolutionize the market. You there, Michael?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You keep going in and out. Don't tread on me says I have a crap load of sites I'm saving to rehit. Well, I am too. we're both saving a bunch of sites to go with. T-Birds Digging says, anybody ever changed the battery on a Deus 1 remote? Well, you don't have to change it yourself. You can send it back. Just let them know and they'll do it for you. They've got a service center.
It's pretty easy, I think, though. It's
Yeah.
not a whole lot to the remote.
Right. Well, they will do it. You can contact the service center. You can find out through your local dealer, and they'll be glad to help you out with that. All right, Michael. Well, I don't have a giveaway for tonight. We've got some things coming. So we are going to be doing a giveaway real soon, some XP stuff that we're going to be doing some giveaways with. So stay tuned for that. We're going to, I'm hopefully going to be able to get out and hunt. I'm not sure what Michael's doing tomorrow, but I'm gonna get out and hunt. I've also got a couple of videos coming for you guys. So again, please stay tuned. Check out our channel. One quick thing before we leave tonight is to make sure that you check out one of our main sponsors, and that is LMS Metal Detecting. That is our preferred metal detector dealer. So if you're looking for an XP Deus 2 or a pinpointer or anything metal detecting related, give Mike a call. His number is scrolling across the bottom. You can take a picture or screenshot, whatever you need to do. Mike is super nice, super easy to deal with. He gives you service after the sale as well. So if you ever have a question about a machine, he's very knowledgeable. And knows his stuff, and he'll be glad to help you out any way he can. But he gives great friendly service, quick shipping, and service after the sale. You can count on Mike for that at LMS Metal Detecting. So definitely check him out. You can see his logo in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. But super nice guy, fun to deal with, and so on. The other thing is if you are interested in signing up for membership, we do a members only live stream, which you guys can check out. If you sign up for a membership, you get access to that. You get a badge. You get special tips and all kinds of other things too that we offer for those members only. We give them sometimes a heads up on some things. We give them sometimes videos early before we release them. So those are all things that we offer with our members only. All you got to do is hit the join button down at the bottom, and you can join and sign up for a membership. And all of that goes straight back to the channel to support the channel. A lot of this stuff is not free, by the way, because it costs money to do this live stream. In fact, it's $50 a month, believe it or not, to carry on with these live streams. So again, if you want to help out, that's a great way you can help out. Or super chat or super thanks whenever you feel the need. And again, nobody has to do this. We are an independent YouTuber, so any of that money goes straight back into our channel and helps support our cause if you are interested. And again, nobody has to. We're going to be here on Friday night, still bringing you content, information, and so on. So again, we've got a lot of stuff planned for the future. I'm hoping Michael's going to be down real soon. We're working with Mental Metal.
We
We're
were
hoping.
supposed to be this weekend,
Yeah,
but the storms is.
yeah, the storms rained us out, but we're hoping that we're going to have Mental Metal with us. I've got a great hunt with the History Digger, which I've got to put that video up for you guys that know Rob Rizzo, who's the History Digger. We went on a hunt together, so I've still got a lot of video content that I have not shared yet. So we got that coming. We got a lot of XP Deus 2 content because that's what you guys wanted, and that's what we're going to give you. So we're going to give you some XP Deus 2 content, and we're going to be bringing that stuff to you very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Got some great things planned for tomorrow. So make sure you're tuning into the channel. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, we appreciate it. Hit that like button. If you're already a subscriber and you love the content that you're seeing, we would greatly appreciate it. And as always, we appreciate every one of you being here on a Friday night. Taking your Friday night to be with us means the world to Michael and I. And we love bringing the content to you. We love talking metal detecting. We love talking metal detectors. It's always a great time. You guys are awesome and so many great people in here. And we appreciate each and every one of you. Michael, you got anything to say before we head out?
Guys, stay safe. I know there's a lot of storms moving through the south this weekend, and just keep your eye on the sky while you're out detecting too. You don't want to get caught in the storm.
Oh yeah. And again, hopefully we shared stuff that people can use and take out in the field and try. Michael and I will never claim to be experts or professionals, but we will tell you what we think and what we see, and hopefully it helps every single one of you. That's what this show is all about. It's about helping, assisting, and hopefully you come back to us and you say, hey, because of what you told me or what I saw, I was able to go out and make a fantastic find. That means the world to Michael and I, and that's what we're trying to do with our channel, is to bring that kind of content to each and every one of you. So again, we appreciate you. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Go out and find some amazing things. Come back and see us again next Friday. Tell us all about your adventures, and we look forward to seeing each and every one of you next Friday night at 7:30. And it's going to be a great time as always. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys on our next adventure. We appreciate you. Take care. Have a great night.
Good night, guys.